hidden away downtown. We've had a couple of different.
Hidden.
Well, it won't be.
But you don't notice it.
It won't be after this segment.
The Propylaeum.
Yeah, and there is a history behind it, as are so many stories that are
Pro-woman history.
Yeah.
I like that. Mel McMahon talks to the executive director of the Propylaeum.
She's a lady.
Absolutely. And you're going to find out its rich history and how gorgeous it is inside.
If you ever drive around downtown, you've probably been by the building we're in millions of times. But what's really going on here? We're with Liz Ellis today to learn about the Propylaeum. What a gorgeous building, Liz.
Thank you so much. The Propylaeum, it's more than just an historic house here in Indianapolis. The house was built in 1890. The Propylaeum is a woman's group, and they moved here in 1923, but they started in 1888.
Oh, a woman's group. I thought that was just the name of the house.
No, it means gateway, and it was started by a woman whose name is Mayrite Sewell, and she was a suffragist and activist here in Indianapolis. The house is 16,000 square feet. It has 9 bedrooms and 13 bathrooms. It was built by John Schmidt, who owned a brewery here in town, again in 1890. And he lived here for about 10 years, and then another brewing family lived here. The Propylaeum moved here in 1923.
So what kind of events and such do you host here?
We have a lot of our own programming, so our mission is really women's leadership, arts and culture, and the historic building. But we do rent out the space for weddings and corporate events and parties and showers. So when you come into the building, there are parlors on either side of the entryway. This is the northeast room. The Schaff daughter, Alice Schaff, was actually married in this room in front of this mirror.
And so what would this room have been used for originally?
This would have been one of the front parlor. It would have been where Mrs. Schmidt met with ladies. They came to visit.
There's so many little delicate features in here, and the ceiling is gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely. This front room would have been the men's smoking room, and the portraits on the ceiling, this was hand painted. We have William Shakespeare, Percy Shelley, Walt Whitman, and John Keats. This was covered with plaster and canvas, and we found it when we were doing some restorations in 1996.
My goodness.
So this is the original dining room of the home. The wood was originally a dark wood. It was the women, when they moved here, painted it light. The fresco around the top is hand painted as well. We found that in 1996. The cupboard here, this is original to the home with original glass. I would like to point out one of our very favorite features of the home is the rookwood tile fireplace. There are 3 of the fireplaces that are rookwood in the home. This is the only one that's ornamental.
Are those flamingos?
They are flamingos.
You don't notice them at first. It's a little subtle.
Yeah.
Until you get close up and really look at it.
In the entryway, you'll see we have a portrait of Mayrite Sewell. Mayrite Sewell started the Propylaeum Club, and she started the Indianapolis Women's Club, the Indianapolis Council of Women. She started the Indianapolis Art Association, what is Newfields today. Oh, wow. She also was instrumental in starting the National Council of Women and the International Council of Women. She was involved with Susan B. Anthony. She was a suffragist. She traveled the world.
When there weren't families living in here, what were the bedrooms used for?
From the late 1920s to the early 1970s, women that were members of the Propylaeum could live here instead of going to a nursing home.
Really?
Yes. So all of the women that were names that you would recognize from Indianapolis, the Lillies, the Vonnegut's, the Binfords, they were all members of the Propylaeum Club. In its heyday, there were over 500 women that were members. This room is our bridal suite. When we have weddings here, which we do a lot of, the bride and bridesmaids would get ready in this room. So this room, again, is the sitting room to the master bedroom, but it's where we have our women's suffrage paraphernalia. So we have pictures of women suffragists from Indiana. They're not necessarily women from the Propylaeum because we don't really have a lot of photos from the early days of the Propylaeum, but most of the women that were members were activists. While we're walking down here, I wanted to point out to you that the door here at the back of the hallway separates the front of the house from the back of the house. So the family was up here and the staff was in the back.
Ah, yes. Oh my gosh, another huge door.
I will point out before we get to the ballroom, this room at the top of the stairs, this is the nursery. The children would have been up here with the nursemaid, and I would like to point out the nook in the back. It's a room you have to see if you come to the prop. It's everybody's favorite room.
Oh, it's so cute. It's a little playroom. This would definitely be my favorite room in the house.
Something really fun about this ballroom was that Mrs. Gates held cotillion dance classes here from the late 1920s to the early 1970s. And I'll tell you, everybody in Indianapolis that was anybody took Mrs. Gates dance and deportment classes.
My goodness. Now, Liz, when you come into this building, it's like walking back in time. Where did the furniture come from?
Well, the furniture has been donated by members of the Propylaeum, their family, and other members in the Indianapolis community.
Is any of the furniture significant?
It is. Let me show you in here. So this furniture is actually from the Claypool Hotel. It was torn down in the early 70s. It was here in downtown Indianapolis. Carole Lombard was a movie star. She was from Indianapolis. She was selling war bonds in Indiana in the 1940s. She stayed at the Claypool Hotel, flew out the next day, and was killed in an airplane accident. This furniture is from the suite of rooms she stayed in.
Clark Gable's wife.
Clark Gable's wife, absolutely.
And so how did the furniture get here?
One of our prop members actually bought it at auction and donated it to the Propylaeum.
Now, something I noticed is that nothing in this building is roped off.
Absolutely. All of the furniture is completely usable.
Really? So I can sit on this couch?
Absolutely. Have a seat. We have a carriage house out back, and when it was built, it was one of the largest carriage houses in Indianapolis. So it's definitely one of the largest ones now. It was the original children's museum in Indianapolis.
Really?
Yes, in 1935.
Wow.
Yeah, very few people know that.
There is so much to discover here at the Propylaeum. Thank you so much for taking us around
I'm
today.
so glad that you came. Everybody's welcome any day.
Liz, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Mel.
For LifeStyle Indy, I'm Mel McMahon.